I want you to choose red or blue. Red or blue. I hope you've chosen, by the way, because being a good DM is about making choices and doing it with the limited information you have. So now that you've chosen red or blue, I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. Did you have a choice? Hello and welcome to Overthinking Dungeons, a channel devoted to turning successful players into successful DMs. My name's Manny, and I am your overthinker today. And today we're going to talk about choice, and how you as a DM can lead the choices of your players. And now, why might you want to lead or manage the choices your players make? Maybe you want them to take that plot hook you're offering. Or maybe you want them to find that magic item that you so carefully put in for them. Or maybe you want them to not potentially die in the next encounter. At the end of the day, whatever your reason, I'm going to give you a number of tools to try and manage the choices that your players make. And like any tool, tools don't have any alignment. They don't have any will of their own. If you use these, it's completely up to you and your own moral compass how you use them. If you use them to trick, entrap, or deceive your players, you're going to have a lot of problems. And you'll find these tools less and less effective in the future. Anyway, let's go back to red and blue. Did you have a choice? If you said yes, yes, you did have a choice. But that wouldn't be interesting, and there wouldn't be a point of me doing a video about it. Instead, if you said no, you didn't have a choice, then you'd also be correct. And this is how. What I've offered you here is what I would refer to as a two-way option. And what a two-way option is me as a DM putting forth two choices that I want you to choose. So essentially, I've eliminated all the other possibilities in the world. And you as a player are focusing on these two choices, and suddenly every other choice in the world disappears from your lexicon or your possibility. So this is also sometimes referred to as a double close, where both of the options put forward are ones that you, the DM, want. Now, here's another way you could potentially do a similar thing. This is one I refer to as the single close, or the illusion of choice. So I'm going to show you a different way to do this. I want you to choose between 1 or 2. You can either enter through the first door or the second door. If you chose door number 1, a crossbowman shoots at you. But if you chose door number 2, guess what? A crossbowman shoots at you. So this is what I call the illusion of choice, or a single railroad, where both of the options that your players choose technically lead down the same path. It's a common trick that Telltale games use, for example. And this works as long as your options are vanishing, or timed rather. If they choose door number 1 or option number 1, they can't come back around and go to option number 2. So if they choose this one or that one, the other option has to disappear. And that's how illusion of choice can work given the right circumstance. And a lot of DMs will actually use this. The secret to it is your players won't realize unless they have the option to go back, or you tell them. So that's a DM secret. Shh. Don't tell them they didn't have a choice. Another way you could go ahead and manage your players' choices is one I call the choice deletion. And what you can do here is you remove the bad choices. So for example, your players have just rocked back up into town, and we can either go to the tavern, we can go to the magic shop, we can go hand in the quest, we can go look at the notice board, or maybe we can go visit our friend down on the south side. So that's a lot of options, and that's plenty enough for some of your players to argue for a very long time over them. What you can do is do a deletion. You can say to them, oh, well, you've come into town at 8 PM at night. The magic shop's not going to be open anymore. The quest giver isn't going to be at home. Your friend's probably going to be getting into bed. You've really only got, you can either go to the tavern or your other option, which I've completely forgotten. Sorry, doesn't matter anyway. So what I've done there is I've deleted a bunch of choices and left them with 2. Essentially, this has become a double close again. Another way you could do it, which is I refer to as the choice deletion, is you can go, yes, you can go to the tavern, you can go to the magic shop, you can go to the quest giver, or you can go to the docks, you can go to the graveyard, whatever. You can also do what I refer to as a good deletion. You know, guys, have you completely forgotten that the noble wants first dibs on that magic item and he's willing to pay a lot of money to him? Suddenly your players are focused on this one and these ones disappear. That is what I refer to as a deletion as well, but instead of deleting the other ones, which technically has happened, you're offering a good one rather than eliminating the bad ones. Another way you can lead or manage your players' choices is you can give them dice rolls. Well, you can try and find someone to lead you there. Please make a persuasion roll. And if they roll high, that's okay, they succeed. If they roll low, or you can set the DC fairly high, their chances of actually succeeding are very low, or they don't have much of a chance. And this is a good one to use if you're trying to avoid them entering a place very early. You can just set the DC, like the lock difficulty very high, or maybe the chance to swim across the river is very high because it's currently in full flow season, for example. So you can also use your dice rolls by setting the dice roll DC very high and making those choices disappear because it's too hard to achieve at this point in time. Another way you can manage or lead your players' choices is the player railroad, or I refer to as the self-railroad. And how you get this one to work is you see a player not able to make a choice, or he's having a hard time trying to decide, and you say to him, Gruck, you're holding the crystal cane and you don't think it's worth very much. And this person over here is offering you a lot of gold, which can buy you a lot of beers to buy that staff off for you. What would Gruck do? Or another way is you can say to him, well, Gruck, what are your character's goals in this situation? And what can you do right now to work towards those goals? Basically, whatever they're mulling over gets deleted and they start focusing on the better option, the single option. Another way you can actually manage and lead your players' choices is you can actually force them into choice paralysis. So you may remember from previous videos where I talked about choice and choice paralysis, and how you can use choice paralysis is by actually overloading them with options. And then at the very end, you offer one good choice. Oh yeah, you can fire an arrow, you can climb through the window, you can climb over the vines, you can possibly try and take on the guards, or maybe you can climb into one of the rail carts, or maybe you can jump in the river and swim, or maybe you can turn into a bird and fly over the top, or maybe you can wait in a box near a warehouse and wait till the guards turn around, or maybe you should just wait till the rest of your party gets here and you can decide then. So what I've done there is I've given you a whole bunch of choices, forcing you into choice paralysis. And when you're in choice paralysis, you kind of get confused and get stunned, which is what choice paralysis is. And when you're in that confused state, you can actually cause a person to choose the simpler sounding option. And often that choice is the last one you offer. So anyway, I've covered a whole bunch of different tools that you can use for managing and leading some of your player choices, so you can prevent them from possibly killing themselves at that next dragon. So let's do a quick recap. Some of the tools that I've offered you at this point in time. You have the two-way option, the double close, where you offer them two choices, or maybe a little more, that you as a DM think are the best choices. You can also do the illusion of choice, where you offer choices, but technically the choices lead to the same result anyway. That's the illusion of choice. The other one is the choice deletion, where you remove a whole bunch of the choices and the players don't get those options anymore. Another way is you can actually force them to make a dice roll, or you try to disarm the trap, but the DC is too high and you didn't make it. Now you're going to have to make a different choice. Another way is you can do a player railroad or a self railroad. You ask the player, what would your character do in this situation? Or what are your character's goals right now? What's most important that you need to achieve? Another way is to just overload them with choice paralysis and then give them one simple option and they will probably latch onto it in their confused choice paralysis state. Anyway, I hope you found this video interesting, because having more tools in your toolbox as a DM is always a helpful thing. And if you found this video helpful, the price of it is one of your films. Please press it on that pressure plate below. And if you'd like to see how I, as a DM, use all these different options during my games, please head over to our podcast, which is over on PODBEAN at the moment. And you'll get to listen to live games where I've recorded and I've used many of these different tools in many different situations. Maybe you'll be able to spot them during our live recorded games. Anyway, I'm your host and DM Manny, and this is OThinking Dungeons. Goodbye.